Good morning. I'm Dean Jermyn, and I'd like to welcome you to our videocast series where I'll be highlighting various thought leaders that contribute to the mission of moving the medical school forward. Today, I invite Dr. Millicent Channell, the new Senior Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and Student Services. Dr. Channell is a board-certified family medicine OMT and NNM OMM physician. She's graduate of the ELAM program at Drexel University of Medicine and the Costin Institute of Midwestern University. Dr. Channell has served in numerous academic roles, including residency director and department chair for OMM. Currently, Dr. Channell is the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Student Services and Professor of Family Medicine and OMM at Rowan-Virtua School of Osteopathic Medicine. She's currently involved in the osteopathic profession, previously serving on ACGME's Osteopathic Principles Committee as a member of the Board of Directors for the MBOME. Dr. Channell is also the 2023-2024 President of the American Academy of Osteopathy. She's co-authored the book, The 5-Minute Osteopathic Medicine Consult. So I would like to welcome Dr. Channell to today's program. Welcome, Dr. Channell.
Thank you, Dr. Jermyn. Thank you so much for having me.
So I just want to, first of all, congratulate you as being our new Senior Associate Dean. I already my right hand in being with the school here, and I just want to congratulate you. Well deserving. One of the questions I get all the time, almost every day, is what made me go to an osteopathic medical school? But today's about you, so I'm going to ask that question to you. Why did you choose to go to an osteopathic medical school?
So I think our students and students across the country go to osteopathic medical schools for a lot of reasons. For me, when I started college, I was pre-med, and I did all the things that pre-med students do, and I started shadowing, and I was primarily shadowing allopathic physicians, and I really didn't enjoy what I was seeing. It was writing scripts, treat them and street them, and very little conversation, and I immediately said, okay, I don't want to do medicine. This isn't what I want to do. And later on, as I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, a friend of mine who was actually at a chiropractic school was trying to convince me to become a chiropractor. And she said, this is how it's different from allopathic medicine or MDs, and this is how it's different from osteopathic medicine or DOs. And I said, wait, what's that last one? What's that DO thing? And I immediately fell in love with the philosophy and started researching it and shadowing doctors. And I said, if this is an option, this is who I want to be. This gels with my philosophy of treating holistically, of being integrative, of treating mind, body, and spirit. They declare it, this is what I want to be, and I only applied to osteopathic medical schools.
Not shocking that it's the largest growing medical profession currently.
Absolutely.
So I share a very similar story to you. So I'm very proud that you made that decision, and we're talking here today. So why did you choose to actually go in OMM and family medicine?
So I actually, like many medical students, I thought I knew what I wanted to do in my specialty when I entered. I thought I wanted to be an OB-GYN. Turns out two things. One, I hate surgery. And two, my vision doesn't let me actually see the sutures in the field because of all the bodily fluids. They're very shiny, and I can't see them. So between not wanting to be scrubbed in and not being able to see, it was a bad combination. And I said, well, I really enjoy anatomy. I really enjoy women's health. At the time, I actually didn't know that PM&R existed. I always say I wondered if I would go into PM&R if I had known about it when I was a student, and so I'm so happy that our students get that exposure. But I said, well, I can still do women's health, so I'll do family medicine. And the reality is I didn't get the level of training in OMM that I wanted in medical school or in residency, or that I thought would happen. And so I did a fellowship, not because I wanted to be a specialist, not because I ever thought that that would be my path, but because I only applied to osteopathic medical schools. And I said, I really want to integrate this into the care of my family practice patients. I had no intention of being a specialist or seeing patients in that context. And it was really just to get that additional training to provide the care in my family practice.
One of the things that I always challenge our students whenever they're rotating with me in clinic or pretty much anywhere, I say, I challenge you to go into academic medicine. Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot of good reasons to do it, but I'm going to ask you, why do you choose to go into academic medicine?
So I tripped into academic medicine. I was when you're in residency, as you know, you have your quarterly evaluations and meetings with your residency director. And my residency director was actually Frank Filippetto, who's now the dean at Texas. And in my second year, he said, well, what do you think you're going to do when you're done? And I said, I think I'm going to do a +1 year. That's what it was called then, a +1 year training in OMM for the reasons I just told you. And he said, well, have you ever thought about academic medicine? And I said, no. I said, I do like teaching. I actually have a master's in secondary science education and taught high school before medical school. And I said, I do enjoy teaching, so yeah, I'd explore that. And at the time, SOM was trying to create its own residency in OMM, and they needed someone who was residency trained in OMM. So at that time, you could go through a clinical practice track to be board certified, but in order to have a residency, you had to have someone who was residency trained to have your own residency. And so SOM sponsored me at PCOM to do my fellowship with a 2-year contract to come back and teach. And I just never left. So here we are 18 years later, and I'm still here because I love teaching and I love working with students and trying to impart my own passion for the field.
And it shows, Dr. Channell. And I think how many people go into primary care and OMM because of working with you and your passion. You and I have worked together for several years.
A long time.
And so it's been great, but I've been able to see your mentorship and a very long. I think that's the other thing with academic medicine is you really get to mold the future of what our profession is going to be.
Well, I tell people all the time, any individual physician who's seeing patients clinically, the stats are they're going to see 10 to 20,000 patients over the course of their career. When you talk about training students, you multiply that impact by the number of students that you're training because you're impacting how those students see the world and how they're going to care for their patients.
Absolutely. Now, you've been in this role for all of a hot minute. But I am going to ask you a little bit about it. So what has been your favorite thing as you're in your role as Senior Associate Dean?
Yeah, that's 5 seconds old. And so I don't know. I think the favorite thing is what my favorite thing is for academia overall, which is working with students and mentoring. At this level, I don't have as much contact with students as I did when I was a junior faculty member, but I'm mentoring faculty. I'm mentoring people into their roles as committee chairs, as assistant deans, as sometimes as associate deans or as directors, and helping junior faculty sort of find their way through their process, or more senior faculty in their new roles as they get elevated and promoted. So I'm taking care of the people who take care of the people who take care of the students, and really trying to impact and give guidance to the culture of our schools so that our students have a great experience.
You know, there are so many people out there right now listening and watching saying, I want to be you one day. And so what, if you would give one or two things, that advice for someone who says, I want to go into academia, I'm a medical student, but I want to be Dr. Channell. How do we get to be Dr. Channell?
I recommend you not be Dr. Channell and you be whoever you are. But I'm going to sing the praises of an organization that I've been actively working with for a couple years now called BNGAP. And we have our own chapter here at SOM. BNGAP stands for Bringing the Next Generation of Academic Physicians. And it's open to all students, but it is specifically dedicated to increasing diversity in academic medicine. So specifically dedicated to women, those who are underrepresented in medicine racially and ethnically, as well as members of the LGBTQ community. And so they have a lot of great programming and pre-faculty conferences and mentoring and educational programs, and helping students to really learn about what their options are. Because although my passion is largely undergraduate medical education, there are a lot of options within undergraduate medical education as well as graduate medical education and medical directorships and managing practices, et cetera. There are so many options to find where your place could be in academic medicine. And I think BNGAP does a great job of doing that and really helping to find mentors and connect students and trainees, residents, junior faculty with those resources. And beyond that, really attending conferences like ACOM or AAMC or whatever your specialty college is or that you're interested in.
So you mentioned earlier that you came and you never left. What's your favorite thing about Rowan-Virtua SOM?
I always say Rowan-Virtua SOM's mission is my mission. when I come to this school and I see the diversity of our students, I see America. And it's really easy to be committed to our student bodies when they are just so interesting, so engaging, and really so reflective of the communities that we serve. It's easy to serve them because they're so committed to their own neighborhoods, communities, religious organizations, whatever they're passionate about, and they bring that passion here, and they're so open and really trying to help them grow. When we talk about being osteopathic physicians, we say we treat mind, body, and spirit in our patients. But really, as an osteopathic medical school, we're doing the same for our students. We're trying to help them academically as well as professionally and mentally and emotionally and spiritually to grow into the best versions of themselves as future physicians.
I can't agree more. I think, and something that I think I mention it almost any time I can, is I wholeheartedly believe that institutions stay strong and grow and when they know who you are as an institution, as educators, and recruit the students that know our mission.
Absolutely.
And as much as you know your mission and you live your mission, you will continue to grow. So, and I think that we're very, very like-minded in that, for
Absolutely.
sure. Fun question.
Fun question. Can't wait.
If you weren't going to be a physician, what would you be?
The easy one would be a high school teacher, because that's what I did before this. But I always say, I live and die by HGTV. So anything in real estate, it's one of the things that you and I share.
Absolutely.
You do renovations and do things with housing and design. But I would be doing something along those lines, just so I could be in people's houses doing stuff. So I wouldn't be an interior designer. I don't think I have that gift, but I would be somebody's assistant or a real estate agent or something where I just get to see houses and condos and townhouses.
All right, you just told everybody that you share this, and so we very much do. So we're going to keep that amongst ourselves. But, at this time of year, we're believe it or not, to our students, we're heading into winter break. There's going to be a break coming soon. So what was some of your best experiences in medical school?
The one that I always think of that I recommend to every student is I did my last 2 months of fourth year on an international rotation in Kenya. And so it counted as I went to PCOM, it counted as my rural medicine and community medicine rotations at that time. This is when, email wasn't really up and running. I'm not even sure we had the internet then. So took me 2 years to schedule it with faxes and trying to account for time zones and snail mail and all kinds of things. I know it sounds ridiculous to students now, but it was one of the best experiences, because one of the things that helped me to appreciate was that rural medicine is rural medicine. Underserved is underserved. And many of the issues that were faced there were faced here in LaPorte, Pennsylvania, where I did one of my rural medicines here in the States. And so many of the issues are the same. But it is very different to appreciate what we have here with, say, EMLA. When I was in Kenya, if somebody had a car accident and broke their leg, the first question is, how are you going to pay for this? Before we do an x-ray, before we examine you, before we do anything, we'll get your family here and let's figure this out. And you're not given care if you can't show that you're going to pay for your services up front, which is startling to our eyes. And so that was an incredible experience. Along the same lines, I did a lot of OMM courses and things like that. I think every student is different. Their goals, their aspirations are different. We have a baseline foundational curriculum to make students strong, but each student really needs to make this their own experience towards their own goals and really actively seek out those opportunities, because it's not going to be, rammed at you or pushed at you, because we have 288 students per class and each one of them has different goals and aspirations, and really it's just giving them the opportunities to do that. So making it my own was my best experience.
So if you could give advice to medical students right now, one or two things that would make their experience a little bit better when they have exams coming on and worrying about their OSCEs and they're filling out their residency applications. It's a tough time, I think, almost for every year right now with feeling stressed. So one or two Dr. Channell tips on getting through this time.
One or two. So one of them is to reach out. I think that students have the best experience when there is a faculty member, a staff member, someone on this campus whose office or cubicle that you can cozy up to and just hide out in or get a snack or something along those lines. I certainly have students who are in my office. I know a lot of our faculty staff, chairs and deans and others have students who do that. So trying to find a place where you feel that connection at the Institute, in addition to, and sometimes in place of, because you don't have it, support that you might have at home. And the other is really to give yourself grace. This is one of the hardest things you will ever do. I think the only thing that compares to it is parenthood. But this, if it feels overwhelming, it's because it's an overwhelming thing. It's why medicine is held in such high regard, is because people somewhat conceptually understand what it is, how hard it is, but living it is very different. So taking breaks. I see a lot of students who become overwhelmed and they stop going to the gym, they stop going to temple, they stop going, to do the things that really rejuvenate them. And I would say, please don't stop doing that. Absolutely. It's like not plugging in your cell phone and expecting it to work. It doesn't work. And playing martyr doesn't work. So please still stay engaged in the things that rejuvenate you, and stay connected to the people who rejuvenate you, and find someone within the institution itself to connect to.
Yeah, you always have to plug yourself in.
Absolutely.
Always have to do that.
Absolutely.
Same question to you for our faculty.
I would say the same thing. My advice to students, residents, and faculty are not very different in terms of finding mentors. I often try to mentor, we call them junior faculty, anyone who's been faculty for less than 5 years, because they're still trying to figure out where the bathrooms are. But anyone at any stage of their career needs mentors. I certainly still have mentors. I still have one of the same mentors I had when I was a junior faculty member. I actually have his office now. Dr. Kruger held this role previously and is still one of my mentors. But to find mentors, both peer mentors and people who are advanced in where you want to go, to get some direction and get some advice. And to stay plugged in and to remember why you're doing this. Because the why matters. The why is what gets you up. There's too many other ways to live life, to be doing something that makes you miserable. Not in this environment. Like there's nobody here is without options. And so I try to remind everyone, both students and faculty, that they competed to be here and they won. And this is what winning looks like. And when it stops looking like winning, you should stop and reflect and figure out if this is still what you want to do, or how you want to change how you're interacting with the environment so that it can be something that you enjoy and that you feel passionate about.
I think that's amazing advice. I always tell my entire staff at the Dean Suite, I said, whenever I'm feeling particularly stressed, I need 10 minutes with students.
Yeah.
I leave, I go, cafeteria, in the hallways, just talk to them.
That's the best.
It just gets me my dopamine in my brain back again. And so we rely on you guys too, that are students and our faculty. Even it's a circle. I guess the circle of life, right? So I at this point I just want to thank Dr. Channell. Amazing time this morning. Best part of my day, I promise you. And we just look forward to your leadership, and we're going to take our education training forward. And I want to thank you for agreeing to be our new senior associate dean.
Always, thank you.
And I just want to take this opportunity to thank our community that are listening or watching today. And I want to thank all of your participation and helping. Once again, as you heard, it's all about mission. And moving our mission forward is everybody in this building, and everybody in all our buildings, and in all our hospitals, because the future is strong and the future is great, and we're going to get there. So thank you all.